We've been in loads of locks, but never one like this. Normally we're on our boats, and the deepest we can get in that lock is about 6 feet, 8 feet, but we've been given access by the Canal River Trust to see the work that's being carried out during the winter to replace the lock gates. This is just one example of those amazing locks that allow us to travel around the rivers and canals of the UK. Some of these locks were built in the 18th century and they need maintaining. So what happens when the lock gates need to be replaced or fixed? This is part of the Canal River Trust winter closure programme. The Canal River Trust try and carry out these works during the winter months when the canals are less busy. We went along to Ellesmere Port to see the work that was being carried out on one of the locks. The Canal River Trust skilled teams and volunteers protect canals all year round, but in winter some incredible feats of engineering take place, and they've given us a chance to go behind the scenes to learn more about how they repair and care for the canals, and set foot where visitors aren't usually allowed.
Just be aware, you know, there's bits sticking out, it's not going to cave in or anything, but just beware.
If you would like this opportunity too, head over to the Canal River Trust website to see details of events that might be happening near you. We're here at the site of the National Waterways Museum at Ellesmere Port and the end of the Shropshire Union Canal, and it's this bottom narrow lock that we're going to see today. We've been given access by the Canal River Trust to see the work that's being carried out during the winter to replace the lock gates. Come with us. You can see here that they've drained the pound above the lock. And these pumps are running constantly to keep any excess water away. It was amazing to be this far down on the very bottom of the lock, and it's amazing to think that this working lock was built in 1797. Good morning.
Morning.
We're here. We're not normally this low down in a lock, are we? Because we're normally on the boat climbing up the steps.
Yeah.
But we've been given special access by the CRT to see behind the scenes at the winter work that's being carried out, and it's just fascinating. It's these lock gates that are getting replaced, and we spoke to the site supervisor, Simon.
We're at Ellesmere Port, it's what you call it, it's the bottom narrow lock at Ellesmere Port, and we're replacing the bottom gate.
How long do you think that'll take you?
That, we get 8 weeks.
8 weeks?
We got 8 weeks. That's 2 weeks longer than normal because it's an open date.
Yeah. You're explaining as well about the stop planks, that normally
Yes.
you would use how many stop planks in a
We
lock?
normally use 7.
Yeah.
That's the depth of water basically from the bottom of the canal to water level. Here, as you can see, there's 12, which means there's probably 3 meters of water rather than 1.5 meters. But due to the big basin that's beyond those planks, as we see.
We asked Simon if they were going to clean out all the silt that was in the bottom of the lock, but there's really no need because there's plenty of water above this under your boat, and if you look here you can see the bottom rung of the ladder, and this is the ladder that you climb out of the lock with off the roof of your boat. And where are these lock gates made?
These lock blades are Braidley Workshops in Wolverhampton.
Okay. And is it oak?
It is oak. It's
Yeah.
European oak. We can't supply English oak.
Yeah.
It's longer as well, you know, European.
Yeah. We've heard that the cost of the locks is enormous. Do you know what the lock gates
The lock
cost?
gates are roughly about £28,000 for the 2 leaves and the balance beams.
Yeah.
The whole job would be over 50,000. You know, we're running. That's for us, our labour, everything, you know.
That is amazing. If you think about the network and the cost to keep it maintained.
Every lock's that, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's safety, which we need to.
Yeah.
If you look around, we've got edge protection here. A third of our time is taken in dewatering and setting the site up.
And with the recent flooding and heavy rain that we've had, has that held up the operation?
It made life hard.
Yeah.
It makes trips and falls on the side, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't want to slip on the edge, fall in.
Yeah.
Luckily enough here, the ship canal is only around the corner, so we could run water through. So water wasn't a problem, but the slippiness of the ground, sodden. You see the gantry up above us, that has to have ground. You know, normally we can just run it on tracks, but we had to make sure that the ground had been tested before.
And do you know when these lock gates were last replaced?
Last replaced, I can't tell you the year, but it was about 17, 18 years ago.
Wow.
They haven't lasted the 25 years.
That was going to be my next question. Is it normally 25 years?
Normally 25 years, but they haven't. We don't know why. It's got to be the quality of the timber.
Yeah.
The making of them would be the same as now, you know.
Yeah.
Some of the lock gates on the canal system are absolutely enormous, and you can see why it's so expensive to build them.
And then how many people do you think would be involved in this operation?
This operation from start to... I'm the site supervisor here. I only have a small team of 5 men.
Yeah, wow.
We set the site up, everything.
Yeah.
And of course Braidley Workshops, I don't know how many men actually make a gate. I have been, but from start to finish, probably 2 men would take that gate on and carry it through to finish.
That's amazing. Thanks a lot, Simon.
No problem.
Thank you.
Of course, all this rubbish that you see tyres.
It was amazing to see up close the work involved in building these locks, and also the work involved in maintaining them.
It's like a bird's nest full of twigs.
You can see here the original brickwork, and we didn't realise that the bottom of the lock was concaved. I always thought it would be flat. It's still crazy to think that most of these canals and locks were dug out by hand with pickaxes and shovels, and these bricks have been laid here for more than 200 years.
We're going to go and have a look around the museum and at the cottages that are around as well. We were dead chuffed to meet Martin Zero, who was doing a bit of filming down here.
Yeah, if you've not checked his channel out, it's really interesting, like an urban exploration channel, isn't it? Yeah, really interesting.
I think you're underselling it. Really interesting. It's amazing.
It is amazing, yeah. I find stuff like that interesting, and because he's from Manchester.
Yeah, and a really nice chap as well.
He is.
He brought his film crew with him. We need film crew, Anthony.
We do.
That's what we're doing wrong. Right, see you in a second.
All right, come with us, see you soon.
Who'd have known being at the bottom of a lock was so fascinating, but today's event was free and it really drew big crowds, which was really nice to see.
The narrow lock's put in.
If you want to attend one of these events yourself, head over to the Canal and River Trust website, which is canalrivertrust.org.uk, and click on the events page. The National Waterways Museum covers a 7.5 acre site with both indoor and outdoor exhibitions, some housed in listed buildings. Based at Ellesmere Port just off the M53, the museum and grounds are dog friendly, and there's also an on-site shop and a cafe. It was good to have a look around the museum, and this gave us a chance to talk to Amanda from the Canal and River Trust.
Andrea, can you tell us why you think events like this are important?
So events like this one, which is our open day at Ellesmere Port National Waterways Museum, are important because it gives Canal and River Trust the opportunity to showcase the kind of works that we do as a charity that cares for over 2,000 miles of waterway across England and Wales. We have a very, very big job in terms of keeping our waterways alive. So this gives the general public a unique opportunity to do things like get inside a lock, speak to our staff and hear more about the kind of works that we have to do to be able to have our network open for everybody to enjoy.
If people want to come along to an event like this, where can you find out more information?
So you can find out more information on our website, which is canalrivertrust.org.uk. On there we've got loads of information about how to be involved with our events and which ones to come along to. So if you are interested in joining us for one of our events, just jump onto the website and have a look on our web pages, and there's more information there of the events that happen all the way through the year that people can come along to and get involved with.
I never thought for a minute that we would be the type of people that would be fascinated by some old engines, but since getting a boat and listening to these Lister and Gardner engines, it was amazing to see these in the museum. It was fascinating to see around the Porter's Row of cottages. Originally built in 1833, the 4 cottages of Porter's Row are now dressed to recreate homes from the 1830s, 1900s, the 1930s and the 1950s.
Well, that was really good, wasn't it?
It was.
Definitely worth a visit if you've not been to the museum and to see the cottages as well. There were some things in there that my mum and dad used to have in their house. They called it an hurdy-gurdy, that they used to put the clothes on to dry in the kitchen. What would you call it?
It's like a rack that you pulled up into the ceiling.
Yeah.
I'm way too young to remember that.
And yeah, the wooden... Oh, like what was that? Like a wooden maiden that they put in front of the coal fire to dry the laundry. Yeah. We could do one of those for the boat, couldn't we? But yeah, definitely worth a visit. We've really enjoyed it.
We bobbed over to the Waterside Cafe, which is on the site, and we had a really nice lunch and a coffee before we carried on looking around the upper level of the museum.
What do we think of that?
That was amazing. It was really interesting to see behind the scenes and actually see some of the work the CRT do. So what for me was really interesting and really thought-provoking, I think, is the cost of stuff.
Yeah.
So just that operation alone, was it 28,000 or 50,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, in total with labour it comes to about £50,000 to replace the lock gates.
Yeah, with the team and all the other work that's involved. So if you think about that and the whole over 200 miles of canal network, you can see why...
2,000 miles.
Oh, sorry, 2,000, yeah, 2,000 miles of network. You can see why funding's really important, and I just think it's really important to keep this sort of heritage alive. Really, it's I think it'll be a real shame if we lose this history. Really. So big thanks to CRT for allowing us to look behind the scenes. It's been amazing.
Yeah, big thanks to Lucy for looking after Dexter, for Andrea showing us around, and Simon down in the lock himself, very knowledgeable and willing to chat to camera, which is really nice, so thanks for that.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this look around at the winter works of the Canal and River Trust, and don't forget to check out the Canal and River Trust website, which is canalrivertrust.org.uk for more details. Thanks for watching, see you next week.